What's going on, everybody? This is Economic News Insights, and today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and what's been going on with it. Right now, Bitcoin's at over $118,000 a coin. For those of you who know me, you know that I've been making videos about Bitcoin and crypto since it was around $3,000 a coin, dating all the way back to 2017. So you know that we've been on a wild ride for the last like 8 years thereabouts. But let's talk about where Bitcoin's headed. Back in the day, we used to make videos talking about Bitcoin going to $1 million. Obviously, we haven't hit that yet. But on low estimates, we used to say, oh, Bitcoin to 50,000, Bitcoin to 100,000. Well, now we've got $150,000 in play. And the question is, can we get there by the end of the summer? Thank you to everyone who's smashing up the likes. I'm making this video because people are like, hey, Jeff, let us know your Bitcoin and crypto predictions. Obviously, I'm still invested in the market, haven't sold out. Pretty much the only things I've done is trade. I've just been trying to accumulate as much Bitcoin as I can over those 7 to 8 years now. But I've been in Bitcoin since 2016. So projections and forecasting is nothing new to me. But the thing that we have to take into consideration is the Bitcoin supply shock. At some point in time, there's going to be this Bitcoin supply shock that is just going to really kick in. I mean, what we've seen where Bitcoin just, kind of shoots up $3,000 or $4,000 a day. I mean, we've seen it before go from 40,000 to about 50,000. So, I mean, how big of a jump can Bitcoin take? That's going to be the question. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw ten to $20,000 jumps in a day in the short term within the next year. Obviously, this is not professional financial advice for any of you who think it is. It's not. But have to put that out there because, I guess there's disclaimers needed for that. Although I am saying that we've been in this for a while. I don't know how many of you know me from Altcoin Buzz, but uh, the Bitcoin supply shock is big. And when the president of the United States now being in on it, I think they said Trump has about a 60% of his net worth is into crypto. I mean, Liberty Financial. I mean, this is the president of the United States, the Saudis, the Qataris, China, all these countries getting ready to step in. And then inside the United States, states are setting up their reserves. Thank you to everyone who's smashing up the likes, by the way. But this supply shock is something big, and I feel like it's just like coming. And so um we've got we're I think $150,000 is quite conservative. I mean, I could have said 500,000 on this, but I don't think it's going to hit 500,000 by the end of the year even. But 150,000 is completely realistic. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we had $10 to $15,000 jumps in a day in terms of price. Roy says, Altcoin Buzz is where I first heard you, stayed with you ever since. Thanks, Roy, for keeping up with us. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully, Roy, I'd imagine you've been in the game for a while now, so you're probably doing pretty good. I would imagine. I hope so. Um, but yeah, so, where does that put XRP, ETH, is altcoin season? Those are things that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. My biggest positions that I personally hold, ETH, well, number one is Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, and then I have a few other positions, like a small position in XRP. I have like SEI, a little bit of SEI. That's like a little bit of a wild card for me. I mean, that they could boom. But I really am not too heavily invested in small cap altcoins yet. Although I would like to say that I'm probably once alt season starts to look like it's going to pick up, I'm going to start talking about those lotto tickets that are in there. I mean, I'm getting to the point where that I don't even need to play that anymore. I don't even want to play the low cappers. It's just, but it's the gambling side of me because that's what it is. There's investing, then there's speculating, and then there's gambling. Anytime we're getting into penny coins or penny stocks, as they call them, anytime we get into those low cappers, it's just like buying a lotto ticket. But you could easily see a 50xer in there, and I've had a couple 50xers myself. One of them was called PPay back in the day. That was one that stood out. That basically paid for a whole trip for me to go to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico and Playa del Carmen and Tulum because it 50x'd. I mean, and I put like $1,000 into it in a 50x. So, uh, you know, those kind of things or in my mind, it's like, wow, man, I could 50x something. So yeah, I probably will be playing the low caps as altcoin season pops off. But I've gotten out of the habit of really relying too much on altcoins. I'm mostly Bitcoin heavy, and I intend to be Bitcoin heavy. I even harvested some tax losses on some altcoins. Like I sold some of my SUI, I sold some of my XRP. And I just said, you know what? Looking on the long term, if I just stayed in Bitcoin the whole way and just rode with Bitcoin, it'd be a whole lot better. And long term, Bitcoin just outperforms all of them. Sure, you're going to have times where XRP or Cardano or Solana is going to pump, and then it's going to go way up above the Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin might be up 5%, whereas Cardano might be up 10%, on the week or something like that. You'll see stuff like that. But generally speaking, I would say that just being in Bitcoin heavy, just 80 to 90%. I'm not at 80, 90% in my portfolio, but the only reason is because ETH. I have a big position in ETH that I've held forever. I actually downsized my position in ETH to go into Bitcoin. Well, I went into some altcoins and then I ended up selling those altcoins, harvesting tax loss because I needed to harvest some loss because I had in the I don't know what software you guys use for taxes. I use this one called Coin Ledger. It said that I had like a $40,000 capital gain, and I was like, well, I don't want to pay taxes on $40,000 for something when I didn't even realize it. So I was like, well, I need to harvest some losses. So I harvested some losses and I put it into Bitcoin. So I kind of, yeah, I took a little loss, but I ended up going into Bitcoin. And long run, I mean, Bitcoin's going to outperform long term anything. So, I mean, Michael Saylor, you guys saw what his most recent projection was $21 million for one Bitcoin in 21 years. I mean, if that happens, I'm going to be a very happy person. If that happens, I'm sure Roy's going to be a very happy person. I mean, I don't know how much Bitcoin you have, but I would say if the plan has always been to get to one Bitcoin. I mean, when it was 3,500, it was a lot easier. Now it's not as easy to get to one full Bitcoin, but I mean, even point one Bitcoin is pretty good. I mean, point one Bitcoin would be over $1 million in 21 years. You get what I'm saying? So we'll see what ends up happening, but I mean, point one Bitcoin would be what, $2 million. So if you can just get to point one Bitcoin and just hold it. I was talking to someone today. I mean, with the ebbs and flows of the way the market has gone, the Bitcoin price will go up. I remember back in 2017 when we were doing the videos with Altcoin Buzz, Bitcoin went to 20,000 in like 2017, and then it crashed back down to like 10,000, and then it went down below like 6,000 and to like 3,500, something around there. And I remember sitting there thinking like, man, I should have sold, but I couldn't really sell because if I sold, people on the Altcoin Buzz channel were going to think that I was pumping and dumping the market. So I had to hold on to every single coin, even all those altcoins that ended up not being too good. But I just didn't want to be like someone who was selling. I was like, I'll ride it all the way down. But it ended up working out good for me because I held. And so the moral of the story of the whole situation is holding. Just hold. I mean, that's all you got to do when the market goes up and down, just up and down. The moral of the story is hold, hodl. I remember everyone always used to say hodl. And we used to say hodl, and it kind of, people would say, "Oh, I should have sold. I should have sold." And I even thought that. I was like, "I should have sold. Why didn't I sell?" But long run, everything that I look back and I'm like, dude, I'm just glad I never sold Bitcoin. So um, and there's also benefits to not selling Bitcoin. You don't have to take capital gains. I mean, I have to fix the tax calculator because the way it says that I bought Bitcoin is such a low price. Um, I'm like, wait a second here. Like it says I bought Bitcoin for like $3,000, stuff like that. My first Bitcoin I bought for $600, but that was into mining. So I have to go back and look at that. But a capital gain on, that's going to be pretty brutal. So when I do sell, I'd have to basically, or if I ever do sell into fiat, I'd have to, take a pretty big capital gain on that. And some of the money would have to come out of the market. And I'm not ready to come out of the market. So there's no real benefit to selling. So, I mean, some of you know that problem, right? Thanks to people who smash up the likes. I can make more videos talking about crypto. We could talk about more subjects like stocks. Stocks, I'm obviously big into stocks right now. The S&P 500, the NASDAQ, buying ETFs. I didn't used to be into stocks, but now I'm playing the stock game. And I mean, there's been a big evolution for me even over the last 5 to 10 years. And that's the thing. The longer you're in finance, I guess it's the Warren Buffett advice. It's not timing the market, it's just timing the market. That's the big thing, is just buy the best stuff. In this case, in crypto, it's Bitcoin or ETH, and then just wait, just hold. And then in the stock market, it's like buy the best stuff, Google, Apple, Amazon, the best stocks, Microsoft, and then just wait. It's just timing. It's staying it's how long you're going to be in the market. So when you buy, it doesn't matter when you buy. I mean, yeah, you could try and wait for Bitcoin to pull back. You could try to time the market, but if anything, what we've learned over the last 5 to 10 years, buy and wait. Just buy and hold. I mean, we can make price projections all the time, but it seems like that's been the name of the game. As of right now, that's how it's been. Buy and hold. Buy and hold. Buy and hold. That's why they say dollar cost average, whether it's $100 a month. And again, the important thing is you're going into the best stuff. You're not getting into the altcoins, you're not getting into the distractions. If you got a little bit of money on the side, like we're talking about coming up here with altcoin season, I'll be dabbling in that. But at the end of the day, that's gambling. That's all it is. It's gambling, and it's not investing. So most of the altcoins, they go away. I mean, they'll pump and then they just kind of go away. So if we're investing in those altcoins, the small caps especially, I mean, the likelihood that any of those will become the next XRP or Cardano or, I don't know, Solana or SEI or any of those is very rare anyway. So Bitcoin is the mothership. 90% of your portfolio should be in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and maybe Solana. The other 10%, anything outside of that. But if you're heavy on anything outside of Bitcoin, Solana, and I don't know, the top five, that should be anything outside of the top five should be less than 10% of your portfolio. That's where the maturity in the market, that's where the wisdom, that's the best wisdom I have for you about investing in Bitcoin and crypto is most of your money should be into Bitcoin, a little bit of exposure into XRP, maybe, but I don't even have any XRP in my personal account. I have it in my business account. I've got Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Those are my big three. So I'm just giving you guys this information because, I know how easy it is to get distracted by altcoins and, all that stuff, but 90% of your portfolio should be in Bitcoin or ETH, and that's about it. I mean, the 10% is just play money. You're just playing around it with the other stuff. So we'll see what ends up happening. But thanks to everyone who's watching these videos, and we can make more crypto videos if you guys want them. And I'll see you guys on the next one.